So how did you come up with the title for Wishing?
So I take titles really seriously, and it's a little bit, I suppose, a little bit like choosing names for my children. I really did deliberate over that process as well. So I have a book where I collate all of my thoughts and fragments and thoughts for the day. And Wishing was, I suppose the title came before the piece. And then it was a way of connecting the music with what I wanted to evoke and the actual title itself. So sometimes the music comes before the title, sometimes the title comes before the piece. And that particular one, I was dead set on Wishing. And then I set about improvising, recording fragments, and just trying to capture the innocence of youth.
Amazing, and that's how you came up with the theme for it then?
Yeah, I suppose the theme, it's in C minor, and it's that feeling of tension with the D against the C that creates a feeling of yearning and searching, never quite arriving. You know, it would be very different if it went to the tonic, for instance, but it's just that feeling of tension with the D that pushes you forward, never quite arise. So it's against as the beauty juxtaposed with that feeling of tension that I really enjoy in that piece.
Amazing. How did you go about developing that theme then?
So when I come up with themes, it's what I try to do in the first instance is try to express what I want to say with as few elements and notes as possible. So I think it's a little bit like speaking, probably not doing that terribly successfully at the moment. But what I try to do is try to come up with a message and try to be economical, because I find that proves to be the most accessible form of expression. And it's often the most difficult thing to do as well. So quite often it will be about subtracting and finding what it is that's at the heart of what I want to say, and really delving deep down to try and find the core, the true message. So it's just that process of distilling, subtracting, until I feel that it couldn't have been written any other way.
Okay, cool. I mean, my next question was going to be about the orchestration, because this is one of the few tracks on the album that you didn't orchestrate.
Yeah.
Was that the reason for that? Like, you're finding that balance?
I think so, because partly of the innocence and there's a certain bleakness to it as well. And it, for me, it felt like a piece that wanted to live on its own. And quite often I'll visualize a space or somebody playing that piece in a certain scenario, and for me it felt like a piano in the midst of nowhere, and with a solo pianist playing to themselves very intimately, without it being magnified or elevated by an orchestral body. So it's one of those few pieces that I just wanted to live on its own without embellishment.
Cool. Oh. And most of the track, as you said before, it's in C minor, but there was a shift in the middle section towards a more major theme. Like, was there a reason for that at all?
Yeah, so you're talking about, I'm just going to run that piece in my head. And then yeah, so that kind of shift where the tension dissipates and it moves towards a sort of more fun, carefree, innocent time. So there's that feeling of nostalgia almost, before it all began, before anyone knew any different. And so I suppose that subtle shade is what I was trying to do there with the change of key.
Amazing. And then towards the end, your left hand echoes the right hand with that theme.
Yeah, a little bit of counterpoint at the end. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, not too much. And again, always with the music, I suppose the temptation is to do too much. Maybe the same is true of a writer or a filmmaker, but I'm always trying to pull back from that point. And quite often when I'm playing at home, if I'm improvising or trying to navigate the arc of an album before it's been actually written, my family will often hear me and sometimes they'll hear me regress almost to a more complex Alexis. And then I'll hear a shout from upstairs saying, "No, Dad, just pull it back." And what they mean is, come back from that place where I'm, the place of my training many, many years ago. So it's always trying to find that place that's more direct, that's more accessible. But I wanted to put a little counterpoint in there because I felt it was true to the music and what I wanted to do at that time. And they didn't shout at me for doing it, which was really good.
Amazing. And I guess finally for this piece, in writing it, is there any thoughts or memories or reflections around writing it at all?
Just that feeling of, I guess, gratification that it's simple, it's humble, and it's a piece that I think many pianists can play at whatever level. And that's something that pleases me as well. You don't have to have years of study, have to have a sort of gargantuan technique to be able to get your way around that particular piece of music. I mean, in many ways, it's understanding what a triad looks like in your hand. The simplicity with a nice rounded hand, and occasionally playing the second finger, and just appreciating the tension and the voicing in between those hands. And actually, pianists of maybe weeks or months can actually aspire to play that piece of music. And that's something that really, really pleases me, the simplicity of the composition and also the simplicity of the required to play the piece as well.
Nice. So were you thinking about like other people playing this composition as you were composing it?
Quite often I'll do that. Quite often. And sometimes I'll pull back if I think that's too unattainable, or because I want to remove barriers to entry, not only for listening to my music but also playing my music as well. And for me, those things are kind of synonymous, and it really pleases me when people get in touch and share their performances with me. This is me after 4 weeks, this is me after, and I absolutely love it. And I guess that's counter to what I used to do, practicing years and years ago, 10 hours, 12 hours, Liszt, Chopin, which I still love, of course, who doesn't? But there's a real beauty of connecting with people in a really real way. And also it sort of democratizes classical music as well, which I'm all about that.